Hello, I'm Caroline Marshall, and welcome to Bump to Business Owner, the podcast speaking to mums in business, you. I'll be in conversation with some of the most inspiring women and mothers in enterprise about their journey, how they created their successful businesses alongside raising their children, and what that looks like in work and family life. Hello and welcome to another episode of Bump to Business Owner. I am your host, Caroline Marshall, and today I welcome Shim Offor, founder of Dragons and Daisies, where you can find fun, fresh, and feel-good essentials for the whole family. Shim's brand was born when she first entered the crazy world of parenthood when her daughter was born in June 2010. She started thinking, surely it's not just me, who couldn't see themselves or their kids reflected in the clothes on the high street. This led her to the land of Dragons and Daisies. Shim's own 3 dragons suggest designs, they choose water bottle colours, create hampers, help with stock counts, and inspire the products themselves. Most importantly, her kids do all the product testing. No one tests the durability of a t-shirt better than her own. And as the business and her kids grow, she is on a mission to give parents a non-judgmental space to celebrate who they are as an individual as well as a parent. Because sometimes being a parent is bloody hard. Having the right cohesive mix of people, goals, and potential, variety, and meaning in life are the keys to happiness, in Shim's belief. Not only this business, but Shim is a self-taught, fully trained accountant, a fully trained eye-tech massage therapist, and she truly believes strongly in a holistic approach to life. Well, welcome, Shim. Thank you so much for coming today.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Shim, I love to start on these podcasts with how you started your business, but the career path that led to that. So tell us a bit about your career and what led you to become a qualified accountant, then a business owner.
Oh, yeah. So it has been a very colourful career. I'm kind of like an octopus. I've always done like lots of different things. But I guess I left school, didn't have any particular plan, didn't really know what my interests were. I went on to college to study business. I actually didn't know what to choose. So I just picked business and economics and law.
As you do.
As you
Easy.
do. And I really loved the business. I was like, oh my gosh. And I loved economics. And there were things that I didn't know I really had an interest in. And after studying that, I still didn't really know what I wanted. I mean, we're talking about like, we're 17, 18 and 19 at this point. You realize when you're my age how young this is. And, it's all right not to have a plan. So I didn't have a plan. I found a job in Wood Green for an office junior working for a button company. So I went along. It was great. It was my first proper interview. And, he said, oh, you've got the job. Like literally just like 15 minutes into the interview. He was like, yeah, you've got the job. He goes, you're way overqualified, but you seem to know what needs to be done. You're confident, blah, blah, blah. And I thought, oh, that's great. Because I didn't feel confident. I was thinking, oh my God, am I going to get this job? Yeah. And I started there as an office junior. And he was starting up his own business. He was a high level exec, and he had decided to jack in his job because he loved working with natural buttons, which is actually quite a complex thing, but I won't go into it because we haven't got time for that. So he was the only person in the UK and I think Europe making these natural buttons from a very rare nut that you find in Ecuador. It's called
Wow.
Roso. So he started up his business, and basically I was assisting him while he was building his business. I didn't actually know I was doing that at the time. It's only upon reflection that you kind of like go, oh yeah.
That's so funny. My first PA job, I had no idea what a PA was. I was just like fresh out of uni. I was like, I'm a PA. I just thought it sounded great.
Yeah, I just had no idea. I was just, I was employed as an office junior. And then he got busier and busier. His business started to grow. I was getting busier. And he always struggled with like the invoicing side of things. So the cash flow was always an issue because he was outgrowing the business. And I was in sort of like weighing out these buttons and getting button samples to people and all that. But there was nobody actually doing the administration. So yeah, he was working on Sage and I didn't know what it was, but I just sort of opened it up and I was like, how does this work? What is a debit? I don't understand why these numbers are here, why these numbers are there. And just started having a play around and sort of entering things into this system and seeing what was the repercussion of entering this. What happened if I did this? He had no idea what I was doing, but I was just having a play and whatever. And then it just turns out that I actually worked my way around Sage very well, after a few weeks. and taught myself how to use it.
What an opportunity that was to just play with someone else's business and learn, make your way around Sage. That's fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, he was such a lovely boss, and he was so stressed, and it was a really big risk for him taking. He was on high level exec for a company earning, multiple hundreds of thousands per year, to not doing that anymore and starting up your business and having like no salary. He had two children and a wife, and his kids would come in and I'd make them pack buttons with me and like make little cards and stuff like that because we had to display
Oh.
the buttons. So I felt like he was part of my family, and he was very good to me. So I guess this was my way of saying, look, I can take this off you. So one of his friends used to come in and do like the admin on a Saturday, and it just happened that he said to my boss, there's a lot of entries in here. What are they? They've been deleted, like reversed, but what are they? And he said, I don't know. So he called me up and he said, Shim, do you happen to know what these transactions are in Sage? And I was like, oh yeah, I was just having a play around because I think I can do the invoicing. And he said, well, yeah, my friend has just said that what you have done is is like what an accountant would do. And I didn't know what an accountant was.
Oh,
I had
really?
never
Oh,
done.
love that.
I'm pretty young. I'd never been exposed to anything. I
Yeah.
was like, an accountant. I was like, what is an accountant? And he goes, it's somebody who does the bookkeeping and make sure that the business is running. I was like, oh, okay. So he said, would you like me to train you with my friend? Because that's what he does for me. He does the admin and the accounting. So I sat with this guy for like 4 Saturdays, and that was it, really. I just took it and ran. And my boss was very happy. And he said, there's a pay increase if you can do the invoices and whatever. So that was my dipping my toe into the world of accountancy. And I was with that company for a couple of years. And then it just got to the point where I just wanted more. And I was well overqualified for what I was now doing in this company. And as sad as I was to leave, I had to go and find something else. So I then joined a recruitment agency. I had to find out what that was as well because I just had no idea how you found a job because I didn't want another local job. I wanted to go into the city now. I
Yeah.
wanted, you know,
You could do that
um,
now. You're ready.
I felt like I was ready, but I was still a little bit wet behind the ears, but whatever. And I got an interview for a French home living company. The company's called L'Occitane. And it was my first interview. And I met with the financial controller, who was a woman at the time. And she said, it's so refreshing to interview a woman because all the CVs I've received are male. And she goes, you stuck up because you were the only woman. And I was like, oh, right. I didn't realize this was a thing. And I didn't realize that accounting was very male dominated. That was definitely something I learned along my journey. This was like a pivotal moment for me in my career because she took me on. I was purchase ledger assistant when I started. 3 months later, I was purchase ledger clerk, which was actually looking after the whole of purchase ledger for them. And then 6 months later, I was promoted to finance assistant and I was managing a team of three. So within a year, I was managing a team of three. And then they promoted me to sales analyst because the company at this point, we were growing at like 2 and 3 stores a year. So they needed to really pick up on the analysis of what was happening in the business at any one time. And this taught me so much because that's when we got into average transaction values, people performance indicators, KPIs, and building budgeting worksheets and cash flows. This was something I'd never done before. So all this was like just so new to me. And working with money on that scale was also something, the numbers.
And not on the same scale, but all those things like cash flow, KPI, so needed as a business owner.
Exactly. It's so needed, but little did I know that these things would come to benefit me later on down the line. I learned a lot about managing staff, team appraisals, looking at CV, hiring people. I learned so many skills and I just loved it there. But then my financial controller left and we went into new management. And I decided that it wasn't for me anymore. I'd been there for, 4.5, 5 years. And I felt like there was nothing more that I could do here under the management that I had. So I did a sidestep. I went to a men's fashion company, still based in central London. And again, luckily for me, I had another female sort of mentor. I didn't know what a mentor was in those days. Now I do. So I know she was my mentor. And she was amazing to work alongside. And she would take me under her wing and we would have days out and she just fine-tuned what it is that I already knew and made me know that there was bigger things out there.
Amazing. And is that what made you go on to train as an accountant?
Yeah, so in L'Occitane, my first job, my financial controller there, she was like, you need to qualify because you've got a natural talent and you really, and in order to command more money, you need the qualification. I wasn't so sold because I just thought, I know that I can bag my way into anything. But that was her advice and I took it because I respected her. The two female mentors that I had were instrumental in building that confidence in me. And everyone always said to me, you know what you're doing. Gosh, you're so good at what you're doing. Now, I didn't feel that. I just did what I did. Like, I didn't think, oh my gosh, yeah, such a great accountant. It's all okay. No, I never felt like that. I always felt like, goodness me, can I do this? Goodness me, this is a lot of work. Oh gosh, I've got to be back in the office at 6 a.m., to get ready for this. At L'Occitane, I was doing global presentations. It was bonkers, I'm like 22 and I'm talking to people who are 50.
I love that. That's the power of mentors with people who are like you or similar to you that you look up to that can instill that confidence in you and make you feel like you deserve that place at the table or that place at the presentation kind of thing.
Yeah, I think so. So yeah, so we come to this property company, and here it was a really stressful job because all the shareholders and everything, they're all family. They all go back,
Yeah.
for like 3 generations.
Yeah, me and my friend talk about that with family business. He works with them a lot and yeah, it's a particular kind of culture. They all have the same culture, but it's a particular kind of culture you got to be up for working in.
Yeah, it's very different, not something that I'd ever done before, but very interesting, very rewarding as well, very insightful, just a different way of working.
Yeah.
So during this time, I felt like in my personal life, I was just looking for more. I was looking for more depth. I thought I need to go back and I need to learn something, and I don't want it to be accounts. I've done that. And at this time, it was actually this property company. They were paying for me to do. They said that they would sponsor my ACCA. So I was actually studying here and doing the accounts. And I thought I need something for me personally. And that's when I found the world of holistic therapies. So I did a short course on hand massage, aromatherapy, Indian head massage, and Swedish massage. And they were just like 10 and 20-week courses that I'd done. And I thought, oh my God, I really love this. It gives me something that I didn't know that I needed.
It's learning for you, I guess, isn't it? I actually literally read an article today about time for learning, and I guess you were learning obviously still at work, but you needed to learn something that was your passion, clearly.
But at that point, I didn't know my passion was. I was just trying to tune in. I just knew that I needed more depth, but I just
Mm,
felt like what I was doing is great and it's definitely getting me paid and it allows me to travel. I was on a plane like every couple of months. It allows me to do so many amazing things, but there's still something missing. So, having done these short courses, I then found iTech, the qualification iTech, and I did an intense course for 5 months and I dedicated all my weekends to attending this course. And that's
amazing.
where I started learning about physiology and going within to learn about the outside, and how different essential oils have an effect on your body, how massage has an effect on your body, the power of touch, the power of going within, the power of meditation. And again, luckily, it was another female who was running the course, and she was just incredible because she would make us ground ourselves. She taught us the power of grounding, letting go of things. We do a meditation before we started and a meditation after we finished our class. So it just felt like so nice. And that's where I learned more about holistic ideologies. So I passed my iTech. I was very happy. And I was like, what am I going to do now? I was like, I want to carry on massaging. So I set up a studio in my house. I held an open day thinking, I li- so I didn't know what I was doing. So I just had to go with what felt right. So what I did was logged into my Yahoo and I literally just messaged my whole contacts list. I'm holding an open day on X date. I've just qualified for iTech. these are the services that that I'm offering. But even if you don't want the service, I would love to just welcome you into the open day, just so you can see my studio and maybe tell a friend. So I just thought, okay, it just went off into the ether, because a few people responded, said, yeah, Shim, I'll be there. And then it was just like, there was nothing heard back. And then it came to the day I opened at 4 o'clock, my front door, and I couldn't believe the people piling in to my into my home. So I did like a little studio tour. It was beautiful. It was just so serene and tranquil, and I had the music playing. And left my book open, and I said, if anyone wants to book time in, just book yourself in. And by the time the open day finished at 10, my book was filled for like 4 months.
Amazing. You set up a business and got fully booked for the first 4 months.
Almost sometimes naivety like pays off, like because I didn't attach any sort of anything to it. I just thought, let me just do this. Like, what's the worst that can happen? I have an empty book. I really didn't think people would book
No one
themselves in.
comes. What's the worst that could happen? I love that. And it's also about like putting yourself out there. Like you didn't think twice about it. I mean, yes, it's not social media, but in that it was in that form of like, I'm just going to tell everyone I know. And what's the worst that could happen?
I mean, it's the best form of marketing, and in fact, I should do it now, but I just didn't know what I was doing. I just went with, this feels right. You know, we didn't have Facebook then and all that kind of stuff, but it worked. I was fully booked, and I was doing massage at the weekends and basically after work. So I would start my first client at 6:30 in the evening, and my last client would leave by 10. So I was fitting 2 or 3 people in
Wow.
per evening. But then it just got really stressful because it was like, oh my gosh, how am I working and doing this and studying? Yeah, so I shut my studio after, I think I had it for about 9 months, maybe nearly a year. And then I decided to close it because it was just too much, the accounting and that.
Do you still do any of that? Do you keep any of that side going?
I mean, not really. I do with my children. Like my children know how to massage. They always ask for a
Oh,
massage.
lovely.
Even when they were babies, I used to massage
Oh, of
them.
course. Baby
Yeah.
massage. Well qualified.
But yeah, so that just got a bit much. And then I decided to leave the property company because I just found it was just too much for me to deal with. And I was looking for something a little less stressful and a little more near to home. I wanted to come out of that rat race, getting on the tube and fighting for space on the tube and all that early morning starts, wearing suits all the time. I just wanted to relax now. So I found a job for a qualitative market research company. And I went in as FC, financial controller, managing one person, very relaxed offices. You could wear what you wanted. I could drive in. I had a car park space dedicated, for myself, my car. And this was all so new to me because I'd never worked in this manner before. We could start at 9 or 10, leave at 5 or 6. We just had to choose what the hours were. Great holiday. Great, very, young, vibrant company, and learned so many skills there as well. I was able to I really leveled up their accounts process. And in fact, I started my assistant. He was so good that I started teaching him how to do like real accounting. Like he was assisting me, but I started teaching him how to do the debits, the credits, what they really were, how to manage cash flow, build budget spreadsheets from scratch, not just using a bog standard template, like actually using what the business needs. So that was really interesting. And it was here that I fell pregnant. And the owner of the company was female where I was working. So she was just like, cool. Like there was no issue with
Oh,
having to
amazing.
hide pregnancy or anything like that. They were very understanding. It was a really nice environment.
As you'd hope now for all companies, but sadly not the case. So it's like
No, it's certainly not the case for everyone. So went on maternity. I worked probably right up. I had hyperemesis, so it was a horrific pregnancy.
oh
Yeah,
no.
so I pretty much lived in hospital because
Oh my
the
goodness.
ketones were just crazy. Like I
Yeah.
thought, I thought I had morning sickness.
Yeah.
And I was really suffering, and my partner was saying to me, please, can you just go and see the doctor because this is not normal?
Mm.
I was like, well, you don't know what normal is. You're a man. Like, how would you know what woman's morning sickness looks like? You know?
Yeah.
And it wasn't until my mum came to visit me, and, after she'd been there for about 15 minutes, I'd already thrown up like 8 times.
Oh my goodness, Shim.
She said, you do realize that this isn't morning sickness? And I was like, yes, it is. You know, what? And she said, no, no, no. She goes, this isn't right. So she dragged me. She said, come on. And yeah, I found out that I was hyperemesis gravidarum, HG.
Oh my, yeah, HG. Thank you for yeah, the shortened term. My sister had it, but I still always forget how to say it. Oh wow. And how did you feel? Like obviously you felt bloody awful, but how did you feel being in hospital? Did you have any concerns about work or stuff, or were they just really good about it and get
They,
it?
they were really good. I mean, you could,
Good.
even when I was at work, I'd be spewing up. So it wasn't like it was something that I was hiding or
Yeah.
trying to get out of or trying to milk just because I'm
God, they
pregnant.
all would have just felt sorry for you then if they
Yeah,
saw you do that.
so I was just extremely ill. I mean, they used to come and see me as well. Like they were really good. They'd send me flowers. Really lovely company to work for. They understood, and yeah, it was horrific, really. But anyway, yeah. I mean, um, I have no idea how I did it, but literally, it was like I gave birth, and giving birth was quite funny as well because I had all this sickness, but I still held the pregnancy quite well. And on the day of, I think I got to, I don't know, 30 seconds apart. And then I kind of tapped my sister and my partner. They'd fallen asleep. They were supposed to be keeping me company. I was like, I think baby's coming now and whatever. And they were like, how far apart? And I said, about 30 seconds. They're like, what? You should have called us. So we jumped in a taxi, got to the hospital, and I was in a really, really good spirits and, just breathing through the contractions and whatever. And I was like, yeah, I said, my baby's coming. And they said, no, 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 your baby can't be coming because you look fine. I said, no, my
Classic.
baby's coming. It's coming, like now.
Listen to me.
And they're like, no, no. And I said to my sister, you're going to have to deal with this because it's coming in. And I was laughing because my partner was telling me something funny and I was laughing my head off in the corridor. And they were like, she's not, you don't laugh when you're giving birth, when you're about to give birth, you're screaming. And I thought, well, I'm in a lot of pain, but, I know that something else is going on. I know my body. And a lovely young nurse saw me and she said, look, just come into the room with me. Let me examine you because you're saying this and this check. And they checked and she was like, oh my gosh, like you're 8 centimeters dilated. What?
I have a hard relate to that because I had a little nap and they were like, no, people if you're in labor, you've not had a little nap. And I did have a little nap and they were like, yeah, you're 8 centimeters. So I did the opposite with you. I wasn't laughing. I was just having a kip.
Every woman is different. And I just hated
Yeah.
that. And because it was my first, I was seen as really hostile and
Mm,
overly demanding. You don't know how to have a baby. This is your first baby. You're not having a baby
mm,
soon. This is your first baby and it doesn't go that smooth. You still have to go from this to this. I've done most of the labouring at home, you know.
yeah.
And I think I did that because I actually lived in hospital for a lot during the pregnancy and I hated hospital. So I think I
You didn't
tried
want to be there.
psychologically, like my subconscious was like, Jim, you got this. Just do it at
Yeah.
home where you're comfortable and then go in
You'd already
for.
had too much exposure being pregnant in a hospital. You needed to stay out.
Um, and I wanted a water birth, but the it was being taken at the time. Somebody was using it, and I was like, oh, for goodness sake, I'm going to have something
You
that I
might not
don't.
have had time either to be
Yeah,
takes a while to fill.
exactly. So anyway, yeah, we had a lovely bundle of joy. She came bang on her due date, bang on time, and yeah, it was lovely. And it wasn't until because I was still being sick while I was having contractions as well. So the
Oh, that's
HB
not
was
nice.
really it was ridiculous. And then as soon as she came out, all the sickness left.
That's amazing. It's incredible, isn't it? Our bodies.
Absolutely. And I just felt like myself again. I was like, oh my gosh, this has been,
What was
yeah,
your first meal then without having to feel sick? Were you like, I'll have all the food?
it wasn't. It was actually a boring sandwich that we had to get from. No, actually, it wasn't even that. They gave me toast. They give you toast.
Toast. Yeah, the tea and toast. Yeah. But I've not eaten properly for 9 months. So I need something stronger.
Yeah, tea and toast. Thank you. Whilst doing that, we were in the midst of a house move as well while pregnant. I mean, I was all go. I've always been sort of like do 100 things at a time, just keep on going, going. So we were doing a house move. We've now got a newborn in tow. We've sold our house, but we haven't actually found a house to buy. A couple of them
Oh,
fell through.
stressful.
So then one of my friends phones me and says, "Oh, do you want to do a house sit for me? Because I want to go traveling." So we stayed in her house, had this baby. It was lovely. I returned to work. I think she was about 6 months. I had booked off the whole year. But what happened was I fell pregnant while I was on maternity.
Oh my goodness. Within 6 months.
So,
Oh,
so when my daughter was 3 months, I'd fallen pregnant.
oh my goodness.
Yeah.
So there's less than, I'm trying to do the
So
maths.
13
Less,
months between them. Just
okay, not
yeah,
quite Irish twins, I think it's called, but
nearly, nearly.
Oh no. And then did you go back to sickness?
So what happened was I didn't know what to do because I was thinking, oh my gosh, I can't believe I've got to I was trying to work out how my maternity worked. I was trying to work out
Yeah.
because you have to obviously work for a certain amount of time before you can take
Yeah.
maternity again. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is going to be such a juggle. So I had to phone, I phoned my boss and I was just like, this is what's happened. And he was like, right, okay. And then I phoned the owner of the company because she was a woman and she was a mum too. And I said, this is what's happened. And it wasn't planned, but this is the stitch. And she was like, okay, don't worry about it. Just do what you got to do. Just work it out, kind of thing. Like unfazed. But my boss was kind of like, how the hell are we going to manage our accounts without you, kind of thing. So it turns out that's why. So I had a year booked off for maternity. I went back at 6 months so that I could make up the time on the other side
Yeah.
and then have qualified for maternity leave with the second baby. So I didn't want my child to be in nursery at 6 months, but it just happened that that was the situation. So I went back to work pregnant and it was great. Everyone was good. And then I got back into the accounts. I've been doing my kit day. So people were up to speed with what was happening with me, what was happening with the pregnancies. And I was very, very sick with my son as well. And so I went back to work a little bit earlier and I started doing the accounts. I was supposed to go back, I think, in the March, but I went back in the February because the end of year was coming up. So as I'm doing the accounts, I'm seeing strange anomalies in the accounts because my job, I used to get bonuses and bonuses related to work as well as just an annual bonus. Everybody got raises, everybody got bonuses. It was a very generous company. So, like I say, I returned in the February, but I didn't receive a bonus for that Christmas. And I thought, that's a bit strange that I haven't received my bonus or whatever, because what a lot of people don't know is that when you're on maternity leave, you still have to be treated as if you're sitting at that desk. You don't lose perks, you don't lose,
Yeah.
all your usual
You're
things.
still employed,
You're still
basically.
employed. Absolutely. So I'm thinking, oh, I'm reconciling payroll. I'm seeing that everyone's got their bonuses, everybody's got their pay rises. And the only person whose stat is 0% is me. And I thought, it's a little bit strange. So I called up my sister. Luckily, I had my own office, so I had a lot of privacy. I called up my sister because she's like HR guru. That was her career that she chose.
Oh, that's so helpful when you got
It's
one
so
of those in your
helpful.
life.
Yeah. So I called her up and I said, this is the situation. I'm back doing the accounts and this is what I'm finding. Like, where do I stand? And she said, they've made a boo-boo, Shim. This is well out of order. It's against the law. She said, send me over your contract so I can see what's in there. So I sent her my contract and she said, yeah, absolutely not. They haven't adhered to their own contractual rules. And even like, just employment law, basic employment law. And I was like, right, what do I do? And she said, well, take them to a tribunal. She goes, you'll probably settle out of court. But she said, it depends, if you want the job, just go and speak to your boss and say that you've done this and just ask them to rectify it.
Yeah.
And she said, if you don't want the job, just leave with a lump sum. And at this point, I was already birthing the idea for my own business. And I was doing a lot of research and development into products and things like that. And I was just like, ooh, actually, maybe I just want to work on my own thing. Maybe I've just been gifted this from the universe, this situation. Because at first I felt really hurt. I was like, oh my gosh, they care about me. And then all of a sudden,
Or all the work you've done, does that not mean anything despite having babies at the same time?
yeah, exactly. So I decided, yeah, I just walked into my boss's office and I said, this is what I found. And what are you going to do about it? And he was like, what are you talking about? And he's like, oh, and I don't think they didn't do it maliciously. I just think they just thought, oh,
Oh,
I think they genuinely thought, Jim's not here. We don't need to do that.
that's so interesting. Because say it's not malicious, but it's just ingrained in that when someone's on maternity leave, they're gone mentally and physically.
Yeah. So I just think it was just a very poor judgment that was made. So he said, I don't know what to do. I'm going to have to get advice on this. I'll come back to you in a couple of days. I said, fine. So I just carried on working. In the meantime, I was doing research on my options and they were taking their time coming back. So I said, okay. I said, I'm going to take this to tribunal because I know where I stand. And my sister had given me, lots of information. She advised me to go and get a solicitor's letter. So I went to solicitors and got them to draw up a letter, showed them the contract, told them what had happened. And they were like, oh my gosh, this is like, that this is like really bad, like what they've done. So he drew up a letter for me and I went in and they were absolutely like flummoxed. They were like, oh my gosh, this is like real. Jim isn't messing around. Because by this point, I knew that they had taken the mick and I just wasn't having it.
Yeah, they're taking too long to get back to you and not, or at least like communicate
Yeah.
with you that they're working on it.
Yeah. Yeah. So it got to the point where I had to sit there with a representative of mine. They had their representative and they said, we don't want to go to tribunal. And my sister told me that they wouldn't want to do it because when you go to tribunal, you have to announce it in the papers.
Oh, do you? Okay, because I know, I mean, I've spoken to a lot of women on this podcast, but there's a lot of NDAs that float around as well. But I do know they do anything to avoid that from what they've said.
Yeah. So any tribunal that's happening has to be announced in a local paper.
Interesting. Didn't know that.
And then obviously, once it's out in the news, they are a highly reputable company in their field. Their whole ethos was we look after our staff, we do this. So they thought we don't want this going into any kind of news because it's just such a bad look. And they said, no, we're not going to do that. And they said, what we'll do is, they said, what do you want? And I said, I want a lump sum of what I'm due, like my bonus, this, and then this for causing me anxiety and stress. And they were like, no, we're not doing that. So, well, you are. You just don't know it yet. So I thought, let me try something from a different angle. So, it's about 2 months to get a tribunal at that time. The waiting list was about 2 months. And I thought, I just can't work here for 2 months. I just want to go. Like, because once you know people don't really respect you or anything, you don't want to be hanging around there for any longer.
It's so true. When I was given redundancy option, they're like, "Oh, there's this lower role you can pay for," and I'm like, "You just want to get rid of me? Like, what is the point in going for this role? There's a point, sometimes it's just lip service, isn't it?"
Absolutely. So I found out about a compromise agreement, and that's what I did. So we went in there and we made an offer, and they were very shocked and surprised because it was even more that I was asking for. I was thinking you should have gone with you should have gone with before instead of being a bit cheeky. And I said I wanted it basically paid within a day, and that was it. So they put in a clause that I would have to leave the building. I wasn't allowed to talk to any staff and or discuss anything, and I was gagged for 5 years. That's the only reason I'm talking about it with you now.
Oh my goodness. So you had that in as well. 5 years, interesting. So they're not allowed, do they have to choose a length of time, do you know?
That was the length of time that they chose, was 5 years. Some people are gags for longer. It just depends on, I guess, where they are. I just thought, I don't mind, because I don't need to talk about this, because my family know. But what they didn't want is their employees finding out, or any of their clients finding out anything. So that's why they said, we'll gag you for 5 years. You're not allowed to say anything. If you say anything, you basically have to pay back the lump sum.
Well done for being like, it sounds like you were just so strong during a time where obviously you were feeling awful and not yourself, and the whole thing's stressful anyway, without the fact you had a 6-month-old and pregnant again, and no house really, by the sounds of it.
Yeah, it was absolutely crazy times. I don't even know where I got the strength from to do it, because my body wasn't feeling right. You know, I was being sick all the time, moved into a new home. So trying to, like, nest for my baby, and then nest
Yeah.
for the baby that I'm having.
I know. Your other baby's still so little, but you must have felt they were big when you got another new one. I think everyone feels like that, but especially when they're literally just turned one, bless
It was,
them.
yeah, but it was a good time. So I got my payout.
I was gonna say, how long did you get? How much good time off did you then get, or time to reset?
Oh, that was it. I just said bye. I just said bye to the working world. The lump sum just allowed me to have that peace of mind, and just know that, bill, like the mortgage and everything, is covered, and I've got a little bit to play with to develop my own business, and, do whatever. So, my partner's like, yeah, just take time, just do what you're doing. So it was a slightly less stressful pregnancy, in the sense of I was at home. I was just able to be at home and just be with the children. And, even though I was sick, I didn't have to phone people and say, I'm going to be sick, I'm sick, and da 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 da. It was just,
That's it. I think that's the same with being a business owner or something. It's like, I just don't have to say I'm sick, or I've got a doctor's appointment, or I'm in hospital again for a day. Like, the stress alone must have made you feel so much better, and even though you had a child to look after, but just made you feel so much better.
it was really nice. And then that was kind of like really when things started kicking off, and I started thinking, about my business and what it is that I was going to do. I had lots of different ideas, and see, having the babies with me and then looking for things for them, I started to realize, actually, some of these things that I'm looking for, I can't find. We're quite an eclectic family. I love design, I love color. My partner's in the music industry. We're very creative and involved in that industry as well. So, yeah, there was things in the world of child that just I just thought, these are boring.
Especially in the gender neutral space, because your stuff is neutral. Anyone can wear anything. But what I love about your brand, and always have done, it's not gender neutral in what you'd expect, as in greys.
Yeah, no,
Like,
exactly. And that annoys me as well, is like having like those sort of neutral tones. And I'm like, that doesn't mean it's gender neutral just because it's cream. Like, come on,
yes.
we could do better than
Yeah.
this.
Yeah, the idea is if it's hot pink, you can wear it, and if it's dark blue, you can wear it, which I love
Yeah.
about your brand. It's clear
Um,
straight away.
so yeah, I think it was like shopping for my children. We love things camo, we like bright colours. And I found myself shopping more with European brands and Scandi brands. And it doesn't seem like that long ago. It was nearly 14 years ago. I became mum. But back then, you didn't have kids wearing black. Now you see it. You can go and find a t-shirt. You can go and find a black baby grow. Back then, there was no such thing. And it was all very kind of like, the pale yellows and the pale greens. And I was like, where's the colour? Where's the colour, guys? And I was like, goodness me. I'd walk into high street stores, just be so bemused, non-inspired. I didn't like the t-shirts that say, Daddy's little princess. All right. She is Daddy's little princess, always will be. But for goodness sake, she's more than that. You know, she's a fierce badass. Do you know what I mean? Like, hello, where are all these fierce things for all these lovely young girls that are coming into the world? So that really annoyed me. I've never been a girly girl. So maybe that's why it annoyed me even more. And then my son came along, and I was like, dinos and trucks on the t-shirts. And I was like, seriously? That's what boys are about? Trucks and dinosaurs? And how strong they are? And I was like, no, I don't like this. So I set about designing things that were really what I would have liked to have found.
Amazing. And how old were the kids at this point?
So Dragons and Daisies came about in 2016. So you're talking 5 and 6.
And no, I just think it's really good to share the reality behind the scenes. So you spent time like working on this.
Yeah, I mean everything. I mean, when you've got two little ones and you've just moved into a new home, everything just takes so long.
So true. Everything takes so long. Putting shoes on takes an hour, like launching a brand.
I mean, it's like your brain. I've already kind of like got like the 10-year plan in my brain. I've already done the work in my brain, but the actual physicality of it is just like a snail. you
Yeah.
know. And I think it's probably one of the most frustrating things as a business owner is
Mm.
the vision is like over there.
Yeah.
But then the actual, oh gosh, I've got to market this. I've got to actually make it. I've got to do an Instagram post. I've got to do this. All those things take so much time. It was definitely my third baby at that point. I was also working for my partner because his business was starting to really pick up and have legs. So I was doing his accounts for him and as well as looking after the babies at home and trying to grow my own thing. So I was working on my designs, I would say probably for about 18 months
Wow.
before I even printed them on a t-shirt. It was a unique concept. Some characters came that were brought about from my children. I was like, what do you want to see on a t-shirt, guys? And they're like, we want to see an octopus on a skateboard. We want to see a cat playing basketball. And I was like, oh, this is interesting. So we actually started putting their ideas into, I worked with a graphic designer into style of like old school hip hop graffiti kind of feel because that's what we like. And we came up with 6 characters, and all of the characters were then had a positive affirmation attached to that character. Because I do believe in, I guess it's the holistic side again, is like picking up your children, building them up, letting them know that they're much more than they believe that they are. Their self-worth, their confidence, their esteem, those are all things that we should always be building up. So I've wanted to put that in a t-shirt. So when you wore that, you felt it and you knew that you were that you're great. And we launched with 6 t-shirts
Amazing.
and I didn't know what to expect, but it was just crazy. I launched on Facebook, that was okay. And then I launched on Instagram, and that's when it kind of like went pop. And all my following and customers were in the US and Australia.
Interesting. Yeah, you do hear this a lot. And well, I mean, you hear it the other way as well. People saying, oh, I couldn't buy this, so I went to Australia and went to America, and you've done it the other way.
Yeah, it was just crazy. They just got it. They understood the concept, they liked the designs. And, I think I sold out, like, I think it was about a month and I'd sold out and I was like panicking because I was like, what should I do? So I started ordering bigger numbers. And I think the first year into it, by the end of 2017, beginning of 2018, I had 45 brand reps. So 45 people all over the States, South America, Europe, and Australia repping my brand.
Amazing.
It was absolutely incredible. Like, I didn't expect that at all. But my UK ratio was probably about 10%. 10% of my sales were coming from the UK, 90% were coming worldwide. Yeah, so what happened is I was doing t-shirts and then that expanded into jumpers. I was doing the prints on jumpers because I always used to say to my customers, what do you want? And they say, we want to see jumpers, we want to see caps, we want to see bum bags, we want to do this. So I would just develop what they wanted. I don't know, I guess it was a holistic approach to business really, because I was saying, what do you want? And they'd tell me, I'd be like, okay, I'll go and make it. And then it would sell. And quite a nice little business model because it just worked. Then it got to about 2019 and I was sitting with the kids because they're getting a little bit older at this point, and they used to be my models as well. So I used to take them down to, Shoreditch and whatever, to where all the graffiti places were, and take pictures. I used to do all my own pictures, and they were happy to be models. But as they've got older, they've become a little bit more sort of like, Mum, we don't really want to.
Have they? I was wondering this, getting towards, do they get involved still a fair bit in other ways?
Absolutely. So behind the scenes, absolutely fine. So they help me with stock takes. They help me with the developing new products. They pick all the colours of the products, from beanies to water bottles to travel cups. I literally say to them, what colours do you think we should get? And then they tell me, and it just takes that decision fatigue out of
Yeah, that's so
everything.
true.
Because I think we attach ourselves to so many things like, oh my gosh, shall we get a pink one done or shall we get a blue one done?
Or the
Oh,
shade. I
and
bet, like.
yeah, should it be hot pink or should we go with pale pink or should it be fuchsia? And it's like, oh my gosh, just make a decision. Whereas the kids that are not bound down by that, they're just like, oh yeah, we like this, this, and this. And it's like, well,
Done.
that's fine, job done. So they're really good. And when I do pop-up markets, they'll come and help me. If I ask for help, they help me pack up the car when I'm getting ready. So everything behind the scenes, they are so helpful. They get involved. They understand my business like the back of their hand. They get it because they've grown up with it. They understand the product. So even if you were to say, can you show me how this works or whatever, they can do it. They know how it was made, why it was made. They chose the colors, so they can talk about why they chose those colors. But at this point, they're sort of like getting a little bit older. And I'm like, okay, we need to develop some new products because they're into different things. I felt that I was moving into a new realm of myself as well. I wasn't completely feeling aligned with these t-shirts anymore as I was because my children were growing because I did those t-shirts for my
For
children.
them. Yeah.
And now they were changing and evolving. And I felt, oh, we need to change and evolve as well. So at the end of 2019, we started dabbling with sort of water bottles and beanies. Got a few samples, but didn't do anything with them. And then obviously 2020 happened.
Yeah. That joyful year.
Yeah, so everything shut down. So all my t-shirt suppliers shut down. So I couldn't get any t-shirts. The printing of my t-shirts was such a specialized way of printing and how to get the vividness of the colors onto the tee. It takes somebody who knows exactly what they're doing. And these people have been printing my t-shirt for years, so they knew like the back of their hand what to do. And everything just shut down. I was like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do here?
Did you think the business might be done then at that point? Did that cross your mind?
It crossed my mind, but I also, I was thinking, what have I got? I was like, what have I got now? And I was thinking, okay, the only thing that I've got right now is my email list.
Yeah.
That's what I've got, is that list that I've spent years building. On that email list is all customers that have bought t-shirts from me and kids wear. I don't want to do kids wear anymore. And the fact is I can't do kids wear now because all my suppliers have shut down. Nobody can print the prints the way that I want them. So I'm not going to go for any second. If I can't get it the way I want it, I just don't do it. And but what am I going to do with this list? I was like, okay, so the list, they're mums. They're mums. Okay, these mums are going to be stuck at home like me. Okay, okay. The water bottles and beanies seem to be going down well in terms of because we were out and about using these products because we trial everything before we sell it, like for a very long time.
I
So I
love
know that
that.
it's robust because
Yeah.
I know that kids have a way of destroying.
Oh, my children do. My husband's like, "You're buying water bottles all the time." And I'm like, "Yeah, I've had to buy more durable ones like yours to be like," he will just drop them. And I'm like, "Oh, for God's sakes, I bought that yesterday."
Yeah, exactly. So I do it and, we use it in real life. So we take them to the park and whatever and put them through the washing machine. So I always need to make sure that things can be washed. And people started, were asking, oh, where did you get that? Where did you get that? Oh, that's nice. That's a nice color. So we had a lot of people piqued a lot of interest with our water bottles, just being out in parks and stuff, just other parents saying, oh, what's that? Oh, that looks nice. Oh, your daughter's water bottle looks really good. So I thought, okay, we're going with family essentials. You can match with your family, mums, because they like matching with t-shirts and stuff. You can match with your accessories.
Yeah.
That's what I did. I pivoted the business then to be family essentials, doing, we launched with like 5 different coloured beanies and 3 different coloured water bottles. And I put the water bottles on pre-order and they were sold out by the time they had landed in the UK.
Amazing.
Yeah, so I knew that I was onto something, but I just needed to hone it. And then obviously because I knew that I had an email list of mums, I thought, okay, I've never sold to them. I've only sold products that they would buy for their child. So now I had to change sort of like a little bit of the messaging to say, actually, we've got things for you and your children now. Then we added more beanies and we added more water bottles and then we added candles. Yeah, Mother's Day, that's when we started doing hampers and kind of like more like well-being gift sets. Again, I think that was going back to my holistic route.
It makes complete sense. Yeah. What now you know your background in it.
Yeah, and my aromatherapy. So all the candles were all sort of curated. They're all mood boosting, so they evoke different emotions.
Oh, they smell amazing. I can vouch for that.
Thank you. So they were all curated from a place where, you could get the feels of what you want to emanate that day. So, if you want to be uplifted, you would use our Gold Digger one because it was fresh and it was vibing. And if you want to get work done, and each candle as well, I thought, let me put a positive message on there as well. Again, I think just coming back to that holistic place of well-being and feeling good and boosting self-esteem. So all our candles have lovely messages on them, that to empower you. So we did a launch, did a collaboration with my sister-in-law who owns a company called Hey Mama, who provides services for mums struggling with their mental health.
Oh, amazing.
And so she provides this really lovely space for women. And I said to her, look, let's collab. And for every hamper that we sell, I'm going to donate to Hey Mama because these sessions, they do cost money and stuff. And she's always looking for donations and whatever. And I thought, let's put something back into the community because especially at a time where everyone, a lot of people, we're not going out, we're not being social, a lot of services have been culled. It just felt right. And again, I was just coming from that well-being aspect and just wanting to give back. So yeah, we did a collaboration on that.
It's so needed though, and it just shows the power of small businesses who can just choose who to, without processes in place, without everything like that, you can just choose to, give to your community like that. It's an amazing thing to be able to do.
Yeah, I think so. It's been nice. I mean, it's been Dragons and Daisies just continually we're continually pivoting and we're entering another phase, which I'm quite excited about.
Oh, can you share? Because we are going to have to wrap up soon. And I love what we're ending on is the pivoting journey since you've been a brand that's been around since 2016 or in your, you launched then, didn't you? You said?
Yes,
Yes.
2016.
And obviously in your head before that. So it's going
Especially.
to, and I'd love to end on the fact that you keep pivoting. And that's such a great way. So what is next for you? And what's your advice for a business that might be looking at pivoting? So it's two questions there. What's next for Dragons and Daisies first?
Oh, so what's next for us is um I still have like the clothing line and stuff still on my website. So by the end of this year, I want all of that wiped out. So we'll be having a big clearance sale, and I just really want to
Oh,
focus.
good to
Yeah,
know. I'll be heading there.
and I really want to just focus like on like the drinkware and stuff like that because to me it's the more well-being aspect. And my children are getting a bit older now, so I've got like teens now. So my eldest turns 14 this year, my middle child turns 13, and then I've got a 6-year-old. So whilst I'm still in the throes of young children, my two eldest are they're older, and I just feel like I'm starting another motherhood journey. It's just like I've reached another sort of intersection at the
Season.
road. Um, and it's really important to me to make sure that I'm looked after so that I can then be better for them. And it's taken a long time to sort of actually really appreciate that because when you're in the throes of young children and the madness of like, the nursery run, the school run, blah, blah, blah. My children take themselves to school now.
Oh, amazing. Tantrums as well. I know teenagers still have them, but
Oh,
it's
oh
just
yeah,
a
they still
different
have them.
way. Just a different way. They're not kind of clambering on you, I'm guessing, at the same time.
Yeah,
Just slamming doors.
oh, don't. Sometimes I feel like taking the doors off the hinge. I'm like, do you want me to take them off the
Oh,
hinge?
good threat. Do it.
Yeah. So yeah, so I think I'm moving into this space of just more well-being, looking after yourself, taking time out for yourself, and as a woman and a mum and a partner, So yeah, we'll be focusing more on like the drinkware and on more products that can be used for well-being and that bring joy into your home, into your day, into your life. I'm appearing on my feed more because I just feel like I haven't got my children as models anymore. So I'm going to have to step up now. And
Like there's a new model in town. I love your pictures. They look amazing.
yeah, and every time I do appear on my feed, it always works well. It always triggers something, and get more views, you get more reach, you get more people commenting. Sometimes that equates into more sales. So I'm like, okay, as much as I might not want to be, upfront, it appears that people actually like seeing me upfront, and
You're so on brand as well, I think, from seeing you. I think that's probably what appeals to everyone is that while it might not feel comfortable, it looks very comfortable for you.
I so appreciate that because it's really not my comfort spot. But what I've realized is that I just need to do it. So this year is just all about getting out of my comfort zone. So I did start off with a photo shoot and doing like the products with me, sort of modeling them or holding them and whatever. And that was huge for me in terms of like, oh my gosh, I can't remember. My photographer's like, Shim, you look great. Like, just stop it. This looks amazing. It's like, this is what we've been trying to work towards for a long time. So, putting up pictures, I always go, oh my gosh, please, please let this be okay. Don't say anything horrible. And then I post it and it's okay. The world doesn't end.
Exactly, that's it. The world doesn't end. Everyone, you might even get some like positives from it, like sales, most importantly for you as a small business. But yeah, the world doesn't end, and I love that sharing because it's so true.
Yeah, so we're doing that, and then we're getting out into the wild, so to speak. So we are doing lots more pop-ups. We're doing lots more markets. I've already done 3 markets this year, and yeah, we're only at like the beginning of March.
Wow,
I'm doing,
yeah, amazing.
yeah, we're doing Ideal Home Show,
Ah,
which
exciting. When is that?
that's 22nd of March to the 7th of April.
Excellent. I think this is out just in time for people to squeeze in a visit.
So it's like, yeah, so that's really been a big thing for me. So the thing is like investing in the business. Usually I'm
Yeah.
and R about the investment, but now I'm like, no, I really need to do this and to grow the business. So this year it's going to be really pivotal. So we're doing lots of things that we know works. Because I've done the analysis on it. I'm like, what's been working for the last 2 years? Okay, X, Y, and Z. Right, we're going to do more of X, Y, and Z because it would be silly not to. And yeah, the 18 months I've given myself 18 months to make magic happen. And if it doesn't happen, then I might have to go and do something else. But
And that's okay, is what we're learning.
that's absolutely fine because we all have different stems. There's different things. We're all multifaceted. So
But I have no doubt this will be Dragons and Daisies, yeah. So
no, I have no doubt either. And I really, yeah, I really appreciate you bigging me up. Thank you very much.
Oh no, God. I mean, I don't need to. It speaks for itself. But where can people find you then who are interested to learn more?
So, well, we have our website. So that's dragons and daisies.co.uk. So our website obviously has our products, our about us. We've got a little blog that I've actually started contributing to more now because I've realized that people like to see that as well. But Instagram is probably our most active social media platform. So we're on there, Dragons and Daisies. We are on TikTok and we're on
Ah,
Facebook.
TikTok. I look forward to finding you on TikTok. Where it's, we've all got to be apparently amazing. Oh well, Shim, thank you so much for your time today. Honestly, your story has been so incredible to hear, and how your journey has all led to this. And I really look forward to finding out where the next phase, the next pivot for Dragons and Daisies go.
Thank you so much, Caroline. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for listening to Bump to Business Owner. I hope you enjoyed the conversation. Please do rate, review, follow, or subscribe wherever you're listening. It really helps us to connect with more mums and business owners. You can DM me on @BumpToBusinessOwner on Instagram, and I'll be back next week.